Welcome for the people that are new on these sessions. My name is Omar Bermudez. I'm with Julio Anaya, and I will introduce my guest shortly. Uh, for the people that are new on the platform, if you have any issue with the audio or video, just refresh your page so we can get back on the video. The session that we have today is related to the emotional control and mistake management. Uh, this is something important on our refereeing. It is not a technical topic at all, but on the court, but it's something that is really important for us to improve and be a better referee. So we have the first question for you, as always. How are you related to basketball? Referee, coach, player, or order? The past session we have a couple of these because we had a basketball player from Panama, but probably today we'll get back on our average. So most of the people said referee. Well, we have a couple of coaches also. Okay. Moving forward, today we will introduce our special guest. Then we will talk about the introduction to the emotional control and mistake management within the basketball refereeing. Then we have the emotion and stress, emotional control in the game, pre-game preparation, and mistake management, causes prevention and overcoming. Uh, next question is, which is the country of birth of our guest, Orlando Varela? Options: El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. Let's see if the people investigate some information or they already know you. We got a fight between Guatemala and Honduras. French session soon. Okay, 66, 70% on Honduras, couple of them on Guatemala. Okay, let me introduce to you guys our guest. He's Orlando Varela. He's from Honduras. He has 28 years old, and he has a master in physiology, psychology from the National Autonomous University of Honduras. He's a professor of the School of Philosophical Sciences at the National Autonomous University of Honduras. Also, he's a basketball referee since the year 2009 and a FIBA referee from the year 2012. Some of the tournaments where Orlando participate are the Central American and Caribbean, and FIBA America's Championship. I think we share a couple of tournaments that we all together. And well, thank you, Orlando, for being here. And how are you?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Omar. Hi, Julio. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you, guys, of each one of you that's letting us getting into your house today. So I'm pretty pleased, and I'm really glad that we can start this date with little basketball. It's kind of early in my place. It's right up about noon. So we're here with all the emotion. So let's go and get it.
Well, as always, we have the same question. Which is the element inside the referee's preparation that is more related to the emotional control and mistake management? Ethic formation, physical capacity, technical preparation, philosophical activation, or philosophical management. See, what do you think, Julio?
Okay, I think most of us we go with the question itself. So for sure, psychological management. How can we react after a call and the pressure is on us?
I'm agree. I'm agree. I think it's something that we know day by day on the court, and we'll after we make mistakes and after we get better, knowing of our past. Orlando, what do you think?
I think we're all on the same page, and it's kind of easy, the question, but the psychological management is always important. But actually, we're about to see that it's not just psychological management that it's implied in this kind of emotional control. So uh, we got a kind of a mix with a physical capacity. So we're gonna check up on that a little bit later.
Okay, we will begin a quick introduction before Orlando can share with us about the topic that we will be talking today. First, we will have a quick question more related to the refereeing itself, which says, what types of pressures can referees undergo during a game? So you will have the options. Sure, if you think if there are only internal pressures, for example, fear to mistake, if there is only external pressures, for example, people, or if you think that both internal and external are the types of pressure that the referees are doing a game. So while you are answering, we will ask Omar opinion. What do you think? What type of pressure are you under during the game?
I think we have a couple of both, just because sometimes I think external from the coaches and the public, but I think the big one is internal pressure, right? Because it's like getting some confidence and all those factors. But I think both probably.
Orlando?
Well, actually, it's both. It's both. And I will have to add one particular thing that we need to be really aware of. That this is we're thinking just about components of during the game, but we have to think also about the other things that go off court. Like personal issues, like family issues, work issues, and all this type of stuff that, of course, has a really big impact in your development and your performance on the court. So it's of course both of them, internal and external, but not just on the court, but also off court. So it's really important so we can check up on that, and we can make sure that nothing of this external things can interrupt our performance. So that's one of the cues we're gonna check up on later.
Okay, talking a bit about this introduction to today's topic within the basketball refereeing, we have this picture in which we are trying to like show how these both pressures act against. Sometimes when we talk about physics, it's common like internal are going opposite or to the outside, and the external coming to the inside. That's how they can. But in this case, when we have people, or as Orlando said, personal issues from the outside coming against us, and also we have ourselves, our emotions, our fears, our anxiety coming also against us, then we have fight from. We have that the referee should reflect self-control in order to control the game. We know that our golden rule is the game control, but we should reflect that we are first controlling ourselves, so then we can do that. We talk about internal pressures, fear to mistake, if we are being evaluated, if there's an important game, any other thing that can comes from us against us. And external pressures, as we say, coaches, players, also our teammates. If I am refereeing with an experienced referee, then I can be like, oh, what I'm calling, and all of those things that may lead to a mistake. And also, as Orlando said, any other external issue, personal traffic, anything that can take us that to the game and can be harmful also for us. Let's move.
Okay, moving forward to the emotions and stress, we have next question for you, which is what are emotions? It is a reaction, a feeling, conduct, or an that's really hard for me saying this. So I'm asking for you, Julio, which one? What do you think about what are an emotions?
I will pass in this question because I know the answer, but maybe the answer is not here, so you have the opportunity to say the first one that comes to your mind. In my case, is I can say a feeling. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when talking about emotions. But now or after, we will watch like a bigger information about it.
Well, let us Orlando help us with this information because actually he's this expert and probably something that we can say is like we're thinking and we're not prepared at all on this topic. So Orlando, help us with the emotions. What is really an emotion?
Well, actually, it's kind of a mix of the four of the options. I know we're still having a little bit of it's a little bit of movement in the poll, but uh, well, mainly it's both on reaction and feeling. 31% on reaction and 68, 69 around feelings, and that's actually what everybody thinks emotions are. We tend to think and to connect emotions with feelings. And that's something we need to, it's not separate, it's not the emotions aren't feelings, but it's not all of it. Okay. So, emotions, I really like this quote that Wenger Jones and Jones have been working since 1962. They say almost everyone thinks they know what an emotion is until they try to define it. So it happens to me all the time when I'm teaching in college, and everybody thinks that emotions are feelings, and that's the first like a myth we have to separate. It's not just a feeling, it's not just a reaction or a behavior or an instinct. It's a mix of the four. So, first of all, we have to think and we have to place ourselves in such an environment that we always have these demands, right? You're at home, you're maybe working from home since the pandemic and all of this stuff, and always your boss is texting you, right? It's like, I need this, I need that, I need. So it's always like a demand from the outside, and that's always our not just from work. We can think about maybe we have to prepare lunch. That's what my wife's doing right now. So uh, when she thinks that, okay, Orlando is not going to be here with me to help me, she has to find another way to do the task. So first of all, we have to think that emotions are reactions. We have an environment, we have a demand, and after that demand, it all depends on on the individual resources to react to that demand. First of all, that's the first trait. Second of all, it's feeling. It's always implied. The feelings are implied in emotions, and as Julio and Omar put on the previous on the previous slide. I don't know if you've seen this movie. It's a really great movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And it has like a really close and like a really good type of recognition about the emotions. And actually, if you look up on the literature, these are the five main emotions. Like it's fear, it's anger, it's disgust, it's joy or happiness, and sadness. Finally, and these emotions have like a real how do you say this word? They have like a real purpose on the humans. It's not just that afraid or scared has no work for ourselves. Let's place yourself in you're on the court, right? And you're in this big crowd, like a really tough game, and you finish the game, and maybe you call something that the crowd didn't like, and someone it's like running up to you, and you don't think that he's going to give you a great hug. You have to be prepared for that, and maybe it's not a hug or a kiss or a good game, ref. It's like be prepared. So and let's not say the other part, but we have to be prepared. And these emotions also have a real issue and have a real use for our own purposes as a human. We have two main reasons that has direct link to the emotions. One of them is for survival, like fear. It's one of them. If you are under attack or something, the main instinct, that's where I'm going. The main instinct is to protect ourselves. No one is like, oh, there's a shooting in some place, so I'm gonna check up on that. No. Although most people are actually now filming those type of stuff, but you get the main point. So as you can see, we have touch, reaction, feelings, and instincts. And after all this, and after our brains have developed and our brains have processed all these informations, we have a response. And this response has a direct link to the conduct or to the behavior. So what can we say about behavior? As we were saying, that we have a demand from the outside, we process it in our brains. Now we have to respond to that demand. And that response is always characterized by a behavior. Whether you can see it like a positive or a negative behavior, like if you're sad, and you're sad because you lost someone you love or something like that, the behavior is going to be to burst into tears, or maybe to grieve, or all that type of stuff. And that's the behavior component of the emotions. I don't know if it's clear. We have actually the four components of emotions: our reactions, our feelings, our behaviors, and our instincts. And this is all combined, and this all works simultaneously.
Well, that's really uh, so it is like a lot of information that probably we never processed as it. So at the end is how we process information, right? And how we react to the situation that we have. And we as a referees, of course, it is really important how we process it and how we react. And based on that, so we have the stress, and the question that is, what is the stress? And the options are a negative consequence, a positive consequence, or a cognitive or behavioral process. Uh, Julio, any comments about this question?
My case, I think negative consequence. How or when we have something and we turn it into something bad or wrong, then from my point of view, that's the answer.
Let's see what Orlando says about this.
Well, actually, I think like everyone, like a good part of the poll is aiming, although it's a little bit of change in the last seconds. We tend to think that stress is like a result, like a final product of something that you don't want, you know, like like it's something I should avoid every time, like it's not something I want. And uh, for most of it, it's correct. Nobody wants to feel stressed or to be stressed because we tend to think that it's negative. You know that it can leave you with something that it's useful. It can leave you maybe a teaching, a lesson. But actual stress, it's a cognitive and behavioral process. We have to think about this and understand that stress it's not just the final product of being exposed to something. This is a process, and we're going to take that in this little short flow that we have. And also, as the emotions, they have a response, or we have a response after we've been characterized, or maybe the environment demands us something. You know, we're just talking. Let's see if Omar is going to change maybe his answer. You know, like what time are you in Tijuana, Omar?
11:25 in the morning.
Okay, it's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
almost.
what are you gonna cook?
Probably some chicken. I don't know. As always, probably chicken.
Chicken and something else.
Some vegetables maybe, or it's something like a battle between I want vegetables, I want chicken, or I want some meat. We never know.
And that's good, you know. But what happens if you go to the fridge, you open the freezer, and you say, "Whoa, there's no chicken, there's no beef, there's nothing. So what am I going to do?" So
It
that's
is like stressful for me just because I'm passing my lunch hour. It's like, oh, and now I gotta go to the market, get some new stuff, and it's gonna be like 40 more minutes from I supposed to eat when I'm eating now.
or maybe you order Uber Eats, Hugo. I don't know what the companies
Yeah, over it.
of delivering are in Mexico, but here after the pandemic, there's like 10 of them. So everybody is like always searching for an option, like an alternative, and that's great. And we don't always think that this type of situations are stress, you know, because we don't have that knowledge that stress is a process. Stress is not just, we're going to see it later, it's not just a pain on the shoulders, you know, it's not just um, difficulties in your stomach, or maybe it's not like it's not just like acne or something like that. It has to be the stress, it has to be with the way we perceive the demands and how we respond to it. So after after this brief introduction, we have to take a little look at the flow chart, and we start with the first box that says environmental demands. These demands can, and you see it on little letters, a little bit little letters that says that could potentially become stressors. Okay, not everything is a stressor. Maybe you didn't find the chicken that you want, but I have like 10 different apps to deliver something, or I can go to the supermarket, or I can just wait, and maybe not eat chicken and get another thing. That's the way we have to look at it. So it's not just the environment demands, it's also how the individual is coping to that demand. And we have to check up the last box in that order, that we have to analyze what are our coping skills to respond to that demand. So after, here we go with a little feedback. We have the environment demand, we have our coping skills. Now we have to do a little perception, and we have to do a little transaction, like a little analyze between, can I do this? Yeah, can I do that? Maybe if I do this, I can respond to this. So now, after a few examples of daily problems, we can start to think now that about refereeing. Maybe we have this external demand that it's saying us to maybe be prepared to the physical fitness test. That's what we taught on Tuesday. So when we think, that's our external demand, the physical fitness test, and I'm going to analyze if I have the coping skills, if I have the resources to respond to that demand. If I do it, after this process, it comes an appreciation process. Can I do it, or can I do it? When we think about this, we analyze our own resources. We have two types of responses. If we have the resources to respond to that demand, we're going to have the cope. That's what we want, because that's like a positive effect of stress. We're always coping, like if you have a demand on your job, and you have to respond to that demand, you have to do it, and you have to do it quick. And after that, coping, it's really good for us. That's what we always have to aim. But what happens when you have a negative response to the stress, to this appreciation process? That's when stress comes out. What happens when you have to do the physical fitness test, but you haven't prepared? And you, in the pandemic, turns out you've gained a few pounds, and maybe you haven't run in like 3, 4, 5 months, and you haven't refereed since it all started. So that's when the stress comes out. When you, as a human, you can't respond to that demand, that's where the problem appears, and that's where all the psychological, like we start the anxiety, that it's just a cognitive process. That's where all these acne, stomachache, headaches, and all these type of diseases appear. That it's also related to stress. So that's what we aim into. We have to build up our own resources so we can respond to that demand. And even if we can't respond to that demand, that's a little bit a little thing that I want to tell you. Even if we have the sufficient resources to cope with this type of demands, we can't do it all the time. Okay, stress appears also when we're coping, when we have a positive response, but it's taking forever. It's like taking too much time and being exposed to that stressor. That's when we get also this type of responses. And even if we're exposed for a long period of time to this type of behaviors and to this type of demands, we can also develop another disorders like depression, like gastric disorders, like irritable bowel syndrome, or maybe even cancer. That's one of the studies. Multiple studies have linked the appearance of stress and cancer. So it's not just that we have to respond good. We have to be really aware of the time we're exposed to these type of stressors.
Okay, was a very good explanation. Orlando, do you have a fan around you or something throwing you air? Because it sounds. Orlando,
Sorry, I didn't listen.
do you have a fan or something like that close to you?
Yeah, I just turned it off.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
But
no. Now,
okay.
moving to bringing all this valuable information to the court when we talk about emotional control in the game. And as I said at the beginning, how can we feel anger but react not according to that anger? So this is not something easy, but let's see what produce this on the people that are with us. The question to everybody is, what situations bothers you the most during the game? So you have option a teammate makes a call in my primary area when I have an open angle, not when I am blocked, when have an open angle. Or option B, a player or a coach protests a play in which I am sure of being right. So you have the two options on the poll. And we know that we can have more than these two, but let's see if you have to choose or if you are identified with one of these two, what can you answer? So we will begin with Omar. What do you think? What bothers you the most in this case?
Especially when Julio calls on Maria. No, no, I think well, probably pro- it can be when a player and coaches protest because we always have the arguments, right? So probably when we have some malfunction or something different on the mechanic, like a whistle on my area or something like that, probably.
So we have like other people almost 50-50. They have to choose one. Some I think these are like the big two in terms of getting anger during the game, or something is or someone is protecting, or my teammate, or is not trusting, or something like that. So let's see now, and we will ask Orlando just to talk about uh, not going too forward to the next point, but what techniques can we use to maintain self-control when a situation that generates anger or nerves also on us during the game occurs? So when that occurs, how can we manage that self-control?
Sure. Um, there's, like you said at the beginning of the presentation, there's a ton of unexpected things that can occur, and these type of things can throw us out of our game, and maybe we have to be really aware of it. But there's something that as a psychology that I try to teach to each one of my patients, students, and everybody around me, that we are humans, and as humans we try and we tend to develop a routine. Okay, so when you wake up, you have like maybe it's a little change since the pandemic began, but we have like a schedule, places to be at any given time, and we have to respond to our jobs, to referee, to be on this time, that time, this place or that place. So as human beings, we need that security, and when we develop a routine for each one of our things that we do, like maybe reading a book, or maybe listening to a podcast, or maybe going to social media. If you plan it and if you develop a routine, it's always good. We have to always try to avoid the automatic behaviors. I don't know if you've passed to this, but it's really common when you unlock your phone and go directly to social media, and maybe if you didn't even have to go in, you're just going in to check up what's up. So it's like an automatic behavior that we have to maybe avoid and try our best to develop a routine. It's not something I don't misunderstand me. Social media are not bad, but when you do it like an automatic thing, that's when it becomes a real problem. And it's not just with social media, it's with everything around. So we have to develop a routine so we can create a habit, and the habit appears when we're not even thinking about it. Habits are really important, so we can do it, and we can start to improve our game, improve our officiating, and improve as human beings and as individuals. So that's the introduction from for the techniques that we're going to do. But I want you to really think about making a routine. That's the main point I want to share with you.
Okay, now in this case, let's look at the picture. Maybe picture. Maybe, we don't know what the referee is feeling inside, but we all can see what is he is reacting, or how he is reacting from the outside. Very calm, very self-control, and that's sometimes something very difficult in us when we got pressure, noise, or somebody yelling or protesting something very intense, and we need to have self-control to don't react according to what we are receiving. So we will watch after the game some points or some things that Orlando can share with us just to be in that self-control mode.
Sure.
Now we are going pre-game preparation. Before entering the game, we will have a question to everybody to see if you have one. Which is your mental preparation routine before a game? If you have one of these three, or if you have to choose one of these three, what can you say? There is music, if there is meditation, or situations visualization. Any routine you have before entering the game? So Omar, which is your routine?
Uh, Roberto said before in the Spanish session that I use my AirPods and I don't listen nobody. Probably music or something that take off my mind from the game. Usually, one of my routines is not thinking about the game when I'm on my way. So I'm trying to keep my mind isolate from the game, thinking in another thing or listening just music. So at the time I get in the locker room, so I start thinking on the game. So probably some music or maybe Netflix or something like that.
Sometimes we are like we have all of us has a known routine according to what works for you. So if you have the music as the one that works for you, and you're working with someone in which the meditation is the one that works for him, you cannot come with your JBL and start to listen reggaeton or something louder. If you, I don't know if I'm reaching the point, but each one have his or her own routine. So we should respect that, and we should have our own only for us and not for the team. If all the team agrees, then okay, play Bad Bunny or something you
They,
want to
they,
listen
they can all sing it together.
to. You can also say. So Orlando, talking about music, how can you or where can you share with us about this technique to prepare?
Maybe if you're all into developing a routine about music, maybe you can put up a karaoke or something like that in the locker room. You can all start this type of behaviors. So actually, as Julio said, there's no routine better. This one it's better than that one. It doesn't work like that. It works like the one that fits for you. It's like the best for you. It's not like this is the best one or this is the best one, no, or this is that one. No, it's not. It works individually for each one of you. So that's the main reason I want to tell you about this. But there's a lot of studies that says that music helps us to concentrate in a lot of stuff, there's a lot of studies that highlights that baroque music, maybe like symphony and this type of music, helps to develop more focus about reading, about studying, and it shows good results. But it's not like I'm telling you to listen to Mozart or Beethoven or something like that. If you want to listen to Bad Bunny, it's okay, Julio said it actually. So
Yeah.
if you want to listen to that's okay, that's good. But you have to take a few cautions about this. You have to be listening to music that it's suit for the situation. Like maybe you're not listening to Gregorian chants after before the game, or maybe you need a little bit of movement before the pregame or before the warm-ups, and we're about to touch that. Maybe you need to change or maybe to adjust or to adapt this type of music. So maybe we want that, and if you want to listen to music, that's really good. The second of all, it's meditation that has proven that has a lot of good effects. Like it helps you to develop focus, especially on your own feelings and on your own sensations and these individual things that most people tend to ignore. Like meditation helps and has helped me with patients like that has like maybe eating disorders. Like when you have to pay attention what you're doing and what you're eating and how you cook, and you have to be present for all of this, it helps them to overcome this type of disorders. So we can use this type of skills and apply it to the referee. We can use meditations to concentrate even more, to think about the game we're heading to be aware of our bodies. Sometimes we tend to ignore our body signal, and maybe you need more rest, or maybe to get more sleep, or maybe just a little bit of water or something like that. So we have to be aware, and meditation helps us to improve a lot of these needs and help them identifying so we can solve them. So that's meditation has helped me also to develop a lot of skills, special patience that you have to It's meditation. It's not like you're going to align your chakras or something like that. No, it's like just be present and be at the time and be aware of everything that's going around you. Uh, another technique that works really good is the visualization. The visualization, it's really important, not just for sports, not just for our daily basis, because we can visualize anything we can imagine. If you want to imagine how you're going to present this webinar, this session, you can visualize it before. Maybe if you want to imagine how it's going to be when you go when pandemic is over and you go back to the court, how you're going to be and how you're going to dress, how you're going to approach to the game. And that's really good, and we can imagine and we can visualize anything we want, and that's a good part because we can prepare for a lot of stuff. When we approach to a game, maybe um, and we have a knowledge about the team we're about to referee, I can imagine maybe something's going on, or maybe to be prepared about this type of stuff. Maybe you have like a problematic player. Maybe you're not making a presumption about him, but you have to be prepared and you have to think what's going to happen if this happens, and how am I going to react, and believe this type of stuff can have a real impact on our performance. I was telling you that there was a study at the Stanford University that paired three groups of people that has never played basketball, and they measured the free throws they made. And after 1 week, they told one group that they got 1 hour to practice the free throws. They have another group that didn't practice at all through that week, and they had the third group that had no touching the ball or practicing the free throws, but they made them to visualize the free throw, the movement, the feeling of the ball, the distance to the ring, the move that they were going to make. And after 1 week, obviously the group that got to practice shooting the free throws got a better result than the two of the other two. But the ones that only visualized had a real great improvement just by imagine this type of stuff. So we can improve a lot of our own performance just by visualizing, being prepared, and being focused to approach to that type of situation.
Last question. Pre-workout. It works? How it works or not? For Omar, because I don't use it. Omar always is drinking that. So let's
I
have
read
an opinion about that.
I read Roberto is about here, and he was looking for a little juice, a pre-game juice. I was sort of reading about that. You know, Actually, the pre-workout, they have actually how basically how it works. It's we have a different proteins and vitamins, and what this product, what this juice, pre-game juice, it's giving us. It's that boost. It's like that extra help. It's not like we always need it. I'm not a big fan of this. It's not that I hate them or something like that, but I just don't use it. But if you want to use it, actually, it has proven good effects on one thing. But that's what I want to tell you. This type of supplements, what they do is to activate our body, and that's basically the main goal of these supplements. But we don't always need our bodies to be super activated if we want to perform a task that requires focus. Like, for example, you need your body to be active for study, right? Maybe you're learning about the changes after October, you're reading about it. You need your body to be active. But if you don't drink this type of stuff to study, because you're going to be like, oh my god, I feel like running, I feel like bench pressing 200 pounds, something like that. So it doesn't help you to develop focus. That's something I have to tell you. It does activate your body, and it does give you a sense of energy, but it's not necessarily direct link to focus. So we have to be really aware of the quantities that we are taking in, and also we don't have to be so dependent of this type of stimulus, because if we do it on regular basis, uh, it's going to be something you're going to need on your daily day, or maybe not on your daily activities, but you're going to need it in your maybe in every game.
You will miss it. You will miss it when you run. So,
Exactly. So you're going to get used to it.
take notes, Omar, please. So, talking about visualization, we will have a short exercise. I know we know that our English communities is sometimes very shy. They don't used to speak or to present themselves, but we will encourage you to request to speak now. To one person will be working with us in this quick exercise. So please request to speak, and you will have to answer this question. If you are on this following action, a player has received an unsportsmanlike foul C2 for excessive contact, how shall I react? And you can share with us how you see on the situation and what will be your action. So please request to speak. While you are getting your answers and getting ready, we will show or we will share quick information about the tournament we are preparing for everybody. Just like to switch the dynamics and trying to do something fun. Uh, we will have
This is not fun.
uh,
This is not fun.
more fun. Sorry, we will have a tournament, virtual tournament called Test Your Knowledge. So now we have launched the registration process. You can do it through Instagram or through Facebook. The registration is very easy. Instagram account, only follow the account and tag to uh, people that you know, referees in the comments, just inviting them to participate. So we have the registration open until this Saturday at 11:59 p.m. And then on Sunday, we will send you the information about the group in which you will participate with the date and time and the Zoom link for your participation. So please register, invite the people, and let's have fun the next 2 weeks before the launch of the web platform. You see, nobody have request to speak yet. We let's give them one more minute.
They're
Uh,
very shy.
I don't know. I don't know why we have a lot of people from Asia, uh, India. We have
Canada.
Algeria. Here we have one. Let's see. So let's see the first one.
Is Roberto. Ah.
So let's see this. So Orlando, did you register already on the tournament or how it
Uh, you know what? I'm gonna do it now. While we're waiting to our 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 our, our friend maybe if he wants or she wants to join us, I'm gonna do it while we wait for them. Gonna
You
send
will
it.
not have the question, so just take that into consideration. You will not have the question before. So
Okay, I'm not gonna do it. Okay. Uh,
I think that's here we have
yeah,
people.
I'm gonna I'm gonna do it better on Facebook because I have more friends that so I can tag them. Yeah. So nothing yet.
Yes, here is the people. We accept one. Maybe they are like accepting the protocol of the cam and the mic.
Okay.
So let's watch 1 minute
Okay.
to join.
I want to tell you something about also about the C4, about the pre-workout juice. There's a thread that it's called arousal, that it's like a special spot you want to hit when you do something. The arousal you need to lift weights. It's not the same arousal you need to study or to work. So these different zones that they approach, that maybe each one of us has different ways to get there, but we have to think that the arousal it's not always the same for each activity. So that's something that we should take into consideration before.
So we have here our guest in the Spanish session. We have also a person who talked before. So we told him that the third one he talked, he will receive a shirt because now in the third one you will be part of us. But Devon, can you say hello to the people and then we can go to your answer for the visualization.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Orlando. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Devan.
So we're talking about visualizing a C2 unsportsmanlike foul.
Yeah.
Yes. So you are on the dressing room. You are preparing to the game, and you know that these two teams are hating each other a lot. So you start to think what might happen, and you have A1, UFC2 on B1. So now you have this in front of you. How will you react?
So in our pregame conversation, as we're visualizing this, we want to remind the teams or our partners as to the teams, as you mentioned. We have the situation in front of us. We need to visualize, continue to referee the play after the initial call has been made for any potential retaliation by the player who was fouled or by teammates who will come in try to, I guess, issue justice on their behalf. We should also consider to visualize removing the aggressor from the situation depending on the type of action. If we can remove the aggressor away from the bulk or the majority of the players, we will hopefully have a de-escalation of the situation, at which point we will go report. Depending on the position we are in the floor, when we see this situation happen, if we're the calling or non-calling officials, we may have to take a look at the benches to see reactions of players coming onto the floor, if coaches are trying to help restore order, or if we need to dispense any kind of ejections for extracurricular behavior.
If you're the calling official, like the closest referee to the play, and you have to choose between going to the aggressor or to the player that got the foul, what will be your choice or your first reaction?
From my training, my reaction would be to remove the aggressor from the situation, as far away from the person fouled as possible.
Okay. Omar, what do you think?
I think the most important here is to take care about the reaction of the player who received that contact, right? Just because I think that after I commit the unsportsmanlike, whatever the type of it is, probably the player who receive it will try to respond that contact immediately. So I think our goal is to be just in that moment where we can interfere to the any response or action that the player who receive it can uh, can do it, right?
So sometimes it might depend if the player who received the contact is like he's not on the floor, he's stand and he's angry. Now it's good to go to him to stop him and stop any escalation. Or as you said, if the player who received the foul is on the floor injured, and now we have like his teammates coming to the aggressor, now is, as you said, a good time to try to move that aggressor from the scene to avoid any escalation from the teammates to against him. So it's good, like just as Orlando said, try to watch some things specific to the games you might have, and do not try to watch all. As he said in the Spanish session, don't imagine the thousand scenarios that can happen. Just a few of them for you to start preparing mentally. So thank you, Devan. Hope you can register already on the tournament. Keep tagging your friends and stay with us until the end of the session. Thank you.
I absolutely
Thank
will.
you,
Thank you very
Devan.
much. Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
You know, guys, there's something really we have to think about visualization, that we can prepare for all the of I'm sorry, we can prepare to all the possibilities. You know, that's not something that you want, because it's going to first of all, it's going to give you a lot of headaches. You know, and after that, you just simply can't prepare to all of them. You know, you can't think of different reactions and behaviors, and how a person is going to react after, like this example. You know, maybe we can have one throwing a punch, or maybe something he's going to attack you, or I don't know. We can't prepare for all of them, but we can prepare for like a similar type of stuff, and have a knowledge what we're gonna do when that situation presents to us. That's something we really need to be aware of.
Perfect. Those people who request to speak on the last, just stay there, and at the end you can request and make any comment or any question to us. Now, let's. In all our sessions, we always try to give some practical points, so the person who is watching can have something to do in his or her next game, just to improve what might we be sharing. And if it works for them, it's good. If not, they can use another point. So talking about the mistake management, we have some possible causes that we consider possible or potential causes for committing a mistake during the game. We have the position, which we are not in the best position to watch the play, so the visual information you receive is not the correct, and it leads to a wrong decision. The knowledge in which you watch properly the play, but you don't know the rule about that play. For example, it's a backcourt. It happens a legal situation. You watch it, but you don't know, and you call a violation. And the third one, which is more complicated, which is when you are well located, plus you know the rule, but the result or the decision is not the correct. And that's why we illustrate this with this picture of a mechanic or some person that is fixing a car, that sometimes we think we are paying him for changing the piece that he's changing. But if we know which is the piece and how to change, we will not point to him. So how can or why we go to him is when we don't know what's the problem source or what is leading to that problem. So the same with the referees. If I don't know what is causing that mistake, we will not be able to fix that. So talking about concentration itself in this session, which is like the main topic, we will share, or Orlando can talk us about some mistake causes based on the concentration. First, talking a bit about this, and then we will share some techniques to try to work against them. So the first one, supervisor on the court. What do you think when we have a supervisor on the court?
That's always like a pressure, like an extra pressure, most of the people tend to think that after we're being supervised, in the fear of not making a mistake, it's really present, and we have to be aware of this stuff when they come up, because when we do something, anything like I teach classes. Just every once in a while, I get this supervisor to go and check up on my class and tell me this you're doing great, this you're not doing so great. So we have to think that, like in every job we do, we always have like a supervisor that tells us or gives us like a little feedback. So that's something we have to get used to it. We're going to later to check up on the things.
And now, digital area do not need a physical person to be on the court. We also sometimes we are being evaluated virtually, or the person is watching the game, but it's not the same feeling when you watch a person writing something after your call and you think it's writing something wrong, and then in the post game he writes something good or anything correct. So now moving to the second one, in which I don't. Okay, here it's not an S, it's a T. I don't have calls, so I feel excluded from the game. We have my partners whistle, 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 and nothing happens in front of me.
Yeah, and you feel like you're just making throw-ins or administrating free throws, and that's like a lonely feeling, like you don't want to get that feeling.
And we share this one because now if you work on the local, or some of referees here are international also, we have now the ERIC system, which track the stats of the play calling. So we might not be 33% each or 50 if we are two-person mechanics, but there cannot be also a huge difference between my calls and my partner calls. So it always feels something uncomfortable and not calling, because I might feel that exclusion. The third one, in which we might talk about external pressures. What can you talk about before going to the tips? Those external pressures that might lead to mistakes also.
Yeah, actually, the external pressures are always present. Maybe it's a particular coach or a player or a team or a city. There's always something that it's going to make us like a real difficult to approach this type of stuff. So external pressure is going to be there all the time, and we have to acknowledge it. And after we acknowledge it, we have to work with it. So the second part of this third point, it's experiences. These external pressures always leaves us with experiences, with learnings, and that's what we're aiming to.
And the last one, sometimes we might think that when we talk about physical condition, it's just to arrive to the play or to have a good location. Or if I'm tired, I make the mistake because of location and nothing to deal with the concentration. But what can you talk us about that mentally tiredness also mostly for sure at the last minutes of the game when we could be a little more concentrated with the game.
Sure. Actually, I want to tell you something about physiology and anatomy. The human being is it's like a unique being. Like when you compare it to another animals in any species or something like that, the brain of the human it's far away from all of them, and especially in the part of the prefrontal cortex that it's like from the forehead to almost the half of our head. And the prefrontal cortex it's really associated with the process of decision making, judgment, um, uh, um, it's really associated also with meta learning, with language, with these superior abilities of the human. And when we're too tired, our brains, our muscles, are um, these extremely and highly irrigated with blood, and after we're too tired, the oxygen it's not going to get there to fulfill the task we're doing. So when we're too tired, the blood it's not going to your prefrontal cortex, so the oxygen it's not getting there. So that's when our structures, our prefrontal cortex, it's not working efficiently, and that's when we wake. That's when we make a mistake. There's some people that uh, you can see it. Maybe you're an instructor, or maybe you're a referee, and you know that a referee or your partner, it's on the right spot, on the right place, at the right time. He has the knowledge, but he just made like what do you call? What did you whistle? And that's when you're physically tired. Our brain it's not working well, so the process of decision making it's not going to get us where we want to be.
Perfect. Now, as we said, moving to some practical tips or some to-do list against, not against, but to try to deal with these 4 points. First, we have the supervisor on the court. We have like a topic comment that is said on all the clinics, all the camps about referee always in the same way regardless of the game level. And we might not experience how important it is if we don't face an opportunity and we miss because we're thinking on things that we should not be thinking on. So if I'm thinking on rotating on this, on that, because I'm not used to do it on the daily basics, now I'm using space or concentration on these things and not on the game itself. So we will keep saying this. Referee always the same. Create good officiating habits. Orlando will talk about us to us about this point. And the last one is, as I said in the first one, first is the game, second the team, and third myself. So I might not be thinking only in what I am doing and not in what is happening really on the game. So Orlando, what can you share with us about these habits, good habit creation?
Yeah, that's what we tell you before. Habits, creating habits. We're human beings. We need habits. We need something that helps us to get through our days without even thinking. Habits appear when they are automatic thinkings and behaviors. It's like when you do something that's like a prompt, and the habit, the habit appears when you don't even plan to come up. So there's like a story behind this. I was telling you that I really like to read sports psychology. I don't actually, I don't do much sports psychology in my country because When in my country thinks that psychology is like kind of a crazy man or something like that. So it's kind of hard, to break out that myth. So I don't do much that around here because everybody thinks like, why do an athlete needs a psychologist? And it's really hard to explain that. But I really like and I really enjoyed about reading of some experiences of other psychologists. I was reading about this Spanish psychologist that was working with this athlete in the sports of shooting. Like they throw you a plate and he has to shoot it. And this sport has like a situation that you have to create a ritual, create like movements, a position of your legs, of your limbs, of your body, and start to shooting. And they did it. They did it greatly. And after that, there's like 100 plates, from 1 to 100. And the main goal for this athlete was to always make that ritual for all the plates, for the plate 1, 2, 3, or the 100. And he was going well. He was really really good at it. And when the plate number 97 got, he shot it. When the 98 shot it, the 99 shot it, and the 100 missed. And why? Because he thought that the 100 plate was special, that he had to do something different to do and to shot that plate. And when we think about habits and creating them and sticking to a routine that we already know, that's when success comes up. If we try to do something special, when there's a supervisor, yeah, when we try to do something special, when we know that we're being watched, or maybe we want to do something because I have a partner that referee the Olympics or in a World Cup, and we try to do something special that we are not used to it, the highest probability it's that we're going to miss and we're going to make a mistake. So stick to a routine, stick to a habit, and develop them in your own space. Like you don't have to wait to get to an international tournament to start doing things right. Do it from the beginning. Do it in the courts that maybe are not like a spotlight, and do it on your house, inside, in front of a mirror. Execute this signalization of all that stuff, but you have to do it from the beginning. So when the situation requires you to do it, even on supervisor's presence, you're gonna do it the same way.
Now, moving to the mistake management when we don't have many calls or we feel excluded. We will talk about patience, how to be patient, and Orlando will share with us about patience and self-talk. We also can share that we need to focus on my primary area and on the next play. We pass from this play to the next, and always keep focus on next play. We might think that because I'm not calling, I'm doing anything or I'm not working at all. But we know, and we have shared on other sessions, that not calling is also a decision. We have this on all the manuals that the decision can be a call or a no call. So if we are judging situation, we are watching verticality, we are watching legal things, and we are processing and deciding that it's legal, there is a no call, we are still working. The problem is when we just watch Snapchat and we don't know what's happening, we feel uncomfortable with the environment. And the last one is communication with my teammates. If this is the case, that I'm not calling and they are calling in front of me, if I'm missing something with the team criteria that we're working on. So, Orlando, what can you share with the when we were talking about patience and self-talk in this point about not being calling or active calling on the game?
Actually, each one of them is related. I'm gonna start with the self-talk, and it's that little inner voice inside of your head that tells you, "Whoa, man, you haven't called nothing. You haven't whistled. Actually, if you're not here, nobody's gonna miss you." And that type of arguments and that type of discussion that comes in our mind, and actually sometimes we're really tough on us. Like, we talk ourselves in a way that maybe we wouldn't talk to a partner, to a teammate. So we have to be a little bit more understanding of ourselves. We have to acknowledge that mistakes appear and it's part of the game. So especially when we're at this situation that where my two partners are calling, and you're not, you have to be really, really, really understandable about yourself. Maybe it's not your time to make the call, because if you're searching for a call just to whistle, the uh, the highest probability is that you're going to make a mistake. So don't look for it, don't search for an opportunity. It's going to get to you. So when you start to talking to yourself more positive, like, okay, maybe I didn't get this one, but I'm gonna get that one or the next one. So when we start to talking about this, we're starting to make ourselves patients, because sometimes when we're on patience, we tend to uh, make a poor decision making, and that poor decision making takes us to, again, to commit a mistake.
On the third one, when we talk about external pressures, about focusing on the game and not on the possible reactions of the people to some mistakes, avoid thoughts about the reaction of players and coaches towards a mistake. But I have shared knowledge and use of technical language to always be like sharp and open to communicate effectively with the people. So I think you talked a bit of this about the experiences in the previous picture, but what else can you share talking about those external pressures that may lead to mistake?
Actually, in this case, it's really important that when we have these experiences, we don't get too prejudiced about the teams or the players or the coaches. Okay, these the experiences are learnings, but are not like a shirt, like that. I don't know the exact term. It's like this white coat that uses on crazy people, like a strength shirt, something like that. So it's not something that you can break. It's not something that you can uh, even in that type of prejudice, you can make a mistake. So let's not make this experience and turn it into bad thinking, or maybe thinking that this player will be this bad or something like that. Now, the experiences are experiences. No, they don't dictate the future. And specifically, the open to effective communication, we have to be really open. And I'm not going to talk to you about the technical language. I'm going to talk to you about your physical language, about the non-verbal language. It's not the same when we try to communicate a message if we do it actively as we do it passive. It's not the same. The tone we use, if we use a higher tone or a lower tone, we have to be aware of it. Actually, the distance between actually with this pandemic, it's everybody, it's like 2 meters away, but the distance between the coach, the player, and like being really empathic, and understand their point of view, it gives you an edge. It gives you an advantage, so you can process that information and give them a feedback, so they can become not opponents to you on the game. So maybe they can turn to an allies to you, so the game can flow, and the game can be finished without having any trouble, so you can turn them into allies.
Okay, the last one. We talk about that. Orlando did a great explanation talking about how the physical tiredness can affect our mental or our judgment. And it goes related to that topic about preparing physically to the fitness test instead of preparing physically to the game. Because sometimes we're thinking about the lap 86 and not the minute 40. And that's the change in the ship we need to do, that preparation is not to pass the fitness, is to reach that minute 40 in the best physical position or condition to referee good the end of the game. So what can you say or add at the end of this, talking about that physical preparation?
Actually, there's a technique that it seems so simple, because it is, it is. But when we change our mindset, I'm pretty sure that we all have done the physical fitness test, and we've always concentrated and, oh, I have 10 laps to go, 8, 6, 5, 4, and that's one way to approach it. And it's maybe not the best way, but if you do it backwards, instead of thinking, I just have 6 laps to go, I have to think, I've already gone 80 laps. Oh, it's not the same. It's the same in the physical terrain, but it's not the same in your mind. Your mind, it's tricky. You have to learn how to master your mind, and this is really a great technique, so you can apply it. And you don't have to apply it just in the physical fitness test. You can apply it maybe in your officiating or your work, or maybe something as simple as cleaning up your bedroom. You have like 10 like a closet with 10 different compartments, and you see it like a hole, and you say, oh my god, this is gonna take forever. You do one, you say, okay, I'm already one step ahead. And if you start to change that mindset, start to think what you've accomplished instead of what you have left, it's a game changing. Trust me.
Okay, now we'll move to our last question. Omar?
I'm here.
Yes.
So moving forward, next question is usually how do you overcome a mistake to keep focus on the game? And I think this is one of challenge that we have. Options, positive self-talk, focus on the next play, eye contact with your teammates. I can say possibly focus on the next play. That's one of the techniques that I have. It's not easy to think or adapt that to my refereeing, especially at the beginning, the first year. But now it's like easier to keep in the past, the mistakes or bad moments. Julio?
Uh, for sure, in this type of question, I am always going to focus on the next play. As Orlando say, we cannot change the past. We can stay in the present and have a good future. So always focus on trying to focus on things to be ready for the next play.
Great. And Orlando?
Actually, um, I believe the positive self-talk, it's not that it's more important than the other ones, but it's a different coping. It's like a different coping mechanism. When we try to set our mindsets on our own individual flaws, identifying them, making something to change that flaw, that's where change happens and that's where growth happens. So I believe that positive self-talk is something that you should apply always, and that's what I'm telling you. It's not this is not just a lesson for officiating. This is a lesson for your life, for your work, for your family. So when you start to talking more positive, but more positively to yourself, that's where the growth happens, and that's where success will come along.
Well, and also I think that one of the challenge that we have as a referees is to open our mind to recognize those mistakes, right? And because who likes to make mistakes? Of course, nobody. So I think as referees, as we have in the first point, recognize the mistakes and be realistic. Mistake is part of the game. I think this is one of the key points that opens the track to the learning, right? Because if we recognize where we are making mistakes, of course we need to recognize why and then apply something to avoid it, right?
Yeah, actually, I was just reading in the chat that Gillian Martindale told us, "What advice can you give when we have a difficult time falling asleep after a match if you think your decisions may have decided the outcome of the game?" And actually, that's pretty accurate what we're going to take about this present slide, because first of all, we have to acknowledge that the mistakes are part of the game. No, coaches make mistakes, players, um, uh, maybe the doctor, maybe the table officials, and we as a referee are not extend to it. So we have to acknowledge that mistakes are part of the game. That's the first point. Second point, recognize the mistake and be realistic. When we do this, sometimes when we try to overthink about this type of decisions or about this type of outcomes that maybe I decided the game. Well, maybe you had one mistake, maybe you had one bad whistle, maybe you call a charge instead of a block. And maybe it's not that what decided the game. Maybe it's the 10, 15, 20 free throws that team failed. Maybe it's that layup, that easy layup that one player missed. And you have to be realistic. We're not, I want you to understand me. I'm not taking the responsibility of the mistake. We have to to be aware of it, and we have to take action of it. But maybe it's not that decision. Maybe it's not that call that decided the outcome of the game. Maybe it was one call that had an impact of the game, and of course, we're going to have an impact of the game, but we are trying to work on not deciding those type of stuff. And even if we have a little impact of the game on the game, we will try to make it as little as possible. So that's the first one. You have to be really realistic about this thing. The second one is avoid the negative self-talk, because sometimes when you're rolling up the bed and you can't sleep, and that's where when your inner voice starts to tell you like, man, you shouldn't have called that, man, that didn't work, or man, that, and this all information starts to come up. So we have to be really really aware of how we talk to ourselves, and that's where I'm going to link the second point with the third point, that we are not the type of persons that when we make a mistake, we try to forget it right away. That's the best form to cope this. But when we stick to a mistake and we try to uh, rethink it and maybe try to look for another solution while we're in the game, the most certain thing that's going to come up is that you're going to make another mistake, and that mistake it's going to allow your head to be stuck until the next mistakes arrive. So we have to be really aware, and you can, as Julio says, you can change the past. You know, it doesn't help you if you get stuck in in that mistake. You have to take them. You have to be focused. You have to learn from that. That's the best part of the mistakes. That will take you to a new learning. Maybe I didn't know. Maybe I did a mistake because I didn't know the rule. Okay, I'm gonna be sure that the next time I'm in this situation, this doesn't happen to me. And maybe you can recall to that mistake. But as I'm saying, the best part of the mistakes are that they leave us a new learning. And that's the positive part of being mistaken. That's the positive part of get a mistake. You'll learn from it and you grow from it.
And something that I can, add is like we all have that experience at the end of the game where we make a bad call or we have a missed call or we miss something that provokes that the game's going from the perfect game to the worst day of your life, and I had these situations before, and it was really really hard to avoid any negative self-talk probably, and it was hard to pass that experience till 2 3 months maybe, and it's not easy to get back to the game when you have a game the next day or you have a game scheduled on the next week and you coming back refereeing any of those teams. So you need to be strong enough and understand these points so you can improve. Because if you don't, I'm not saying that your position is gonna be I don't care if I made mistake. Of course we care. But but my point is that if we are strong enough and we are ready to understand that when we make mistakes is for some reason, and that reason is not only what we did, is what we did and what we learned. And at the end, this is the refereeing process. This is how we grow, and this is how we become better referees every day.
This is completely agree. I think I have nothing extra to add in this case. Now it's time to thank Orlando for joining us, giving a digital certificate, because this information that was very valuable to all of us, not only in refereeing, but also, as he says, in the daily life, mostly in these difficult and tough times. Uh, if you have any question, you can write it on the chat. If you want to request to speak, you can check the bottom and make your question or your comment live. Coming back, I already shared the information about the tournament, so just keep in touch through the social media. This is our 10th session, so we will have the tournament, then we will have the platform launch, and then we will continue with the sessions, maybe 3 or 4 weeks approximately. So stay tuned. Here we have how to overcome after a bad game officiating. It's a question from Imene. Let's remove this.
Sure. Actually, there's a few points we have to take on that. Um, First of all, we have to be aware of the knowledge, like rule knowledge. We have to learn from it. That's the first part. If we don't learn from it, if we don't learn from that bad game, that's going to leave us a scar, like a wound, like an open wound all the time. So when we maybe the first one that I'm attacking is the knowledge. If we don't learn from it, we're not gonna grow. That's the first one. The second one is actually we can all have bad games, the players, the coaches, and maybe a bad game. It's not like a real bad game, Maybe sometimes it's our own heads. Maybe you had one bad call, or maybe you had one bad whistle, or maybe you didn't call it. But one call doesn't change the fact that you officiated a whole game. So let's not take sometimes it's like a thought, like a black or white thought. No, there's a lot of patterns of gray between the black and the white. It's not like 100% good, and it's not like 100% bad. So maybe you had one or two or three bad calls, and you can overcome from that. But if you think it's the game as a whole, that you didn't officiate it well, that's not that might not be real, that might not be so true. So you have to be that's where the realistic part of being really nice to you and talk to you, and maybe you're not justifying those bad calls, but you didn't have like a whole game that it was bad. You had two, three, four, five bad calls, maybe. If you're having like a real bad day, but maybe it's not like a game. You don't have to think it like a whole. You have to think it um, like really specific plays or topics or call that you have to improve. So that will be like my best advice to you, so you can overcome a bad whistle, a bad call, a bad decision. But a bad game, it's really, 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 really unusual that it happens like that way.
Any other question, if you have? While we personally thanking again Orlando, I know that being like referee and psychology it helps, but it's very good to have that point of view of a person who knows the content and also applies it on the referee court. So thank you very much. We will try to put all of this into practice when we will have the opportunity. Something I can say is also when we have, as you say, a bad calls during the game and we feel that sadness, how we approach the next game, because sometimes uh, that's the way that the person who is nominated or something might give us another trust or another opportunity to be a good referee. So that's the how you approach to the next game, just to be strong and be good in that. It might start to release that bad comments or bad idea from your mind. So thank you, Omar. Something to close before leaving?
Well, just thank you all the people that joining us again this week, and we hope that this information and all these, uh, things that sometimes is hard to us to understand and apply, of course, were useful for you. And especially thank you, Orlando, for taking your time for two sessions, especially Spanish and English. And really appreciate your help, and I really appreciate you shared your knowledge with us. And well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys for the invitation. I'm really glad we could do it, and thank you to our audience that maybe they're up late in the night So I really appreciate it. You giving me the opportunity. You can reach me, as I was saying on the Spanish version, you can reach me in my social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Uh, Sometimes I post not too often, but sometimes I post like information about how to apply psychology into sports, into daily basis, and try to keep improving ourselves and try to be the best version of ourselves that we can be.
So, thank you again. So, see you on the social media next week for the tournament. Let's see if these 10 sessions were like very useful, and the prizes and the awards will be great after we launch the website. So see you next time. Happy to have